and the owners are desirous of having a sit-down meeting with us. The owner says he's aware that they have a problem here at this club, that he is willing to do all that he possibly can do to make sure that African Americans and Hispanics know that they are welcome and invited here at the Roosevelt Lounge. We asked him to adhere to certain conditions, and we agreed to have a sit-down meeting with some in the Hispanic leadership as well as the African American leadership community. They agreed to have that meeting. That meeting will be this week, where we will sit down with the owners of this club. And in fact, the owners of the club said they're desirous of even selling the club because of the negative publicity and because of problems they've had in the past with men and certain individuals being turned away from the club. The owner does acknowledge that he has heard these complaints in the past and that he has tried to work to change the environment, but unfortunately it has not changed. He recognizes that this club has some serious issues and that when we sit down with them, our plan is to ask them to do certain things to make sure that everyone feels welcome, everyone feels invited to participate in this club. Right now, we do recognize that they were turned away, but we feel that if they make certain steps to change what happened here last week, that will never happen again. And so hopefully with a sit-down discussion with club owners about the direction of the Roosevelt Lounge, we feel that a productive outcome can come out of this. She's with the Dynamo. With their fan base, she'll say something too.
And give us your name, ma'am.
This is Nancy Shattuck.
How do you spell the last name?
Shaddock.
And Nancy, Nancy.
Yes. I'm just here on a personal, at a personal capacity. I think everybody can acknowledge that they've got friends and family who going to a club, you would never ever want to have an experience that happened last weekend, and just passive acceptance is something that I feel should not be allowed any longer. That's why I made a call to Cornell. I wanted to make a statement, and we need to contact this club and say, in this day and age, this is something that should not be accepted, and that just people saying, oh, don't go to that club, or avoid it, that's allowing it to continue. That's perpetrating this type of racial profiling, and it should not be allowed to continue.
What's your title?
I'm on the board of directors for Dynamo Charities.
Cornell, how could the owner not control what happens at his club?
I don't know. That's something he'll have to answer to. But one thing I will say, the fact that he is willing to sit down and to talk about what can be implemented to make sure that everyone feels welcome and invited to this club is a positive step in the right direction. He is saying, the owners are saying that he didn't directly tell anyone to not allow African Americans into the club. But obviously what happened here should never happen at any club in this city. They have a right to refuse service to anyone. If they have a strict dress code policy, we understand that. You can enforce that. But your policy must not be enforced based on someone's skin color. And so we want to make sure that this club will do the right thing, take the necessary steps to make sure that everyone feels welcome, because there have been complaints in the past, in particular by African American males, about this club and other clubs here on Washington Avenue, about them not being invited and not feeling welcome. Well, what happened here should never happen, and we're hoping that from that sit-down meeting that we will all come to a great conclusion for the community, because Houston is a great city to live in. But it cannot be great if we're turning people down for entry into a nightclub who just want to enjoy themselves strictly based on their skin color. But I do applaud the club for reaching out and saying, let's talk, let's sit down, and what can we do together to make sure that this will not happen again. And so, at this time, as we put out to everybody in the wee hours of this morning, that we are reserving a protest right now, pending the outcome of that meeting. If that meeting is unproductive, if the club still demonstrates that they will continue the policy of not letting African Americans in and Hispanics, well, then we will have a major protest.
There's no protest?
No. But we felt appropriate that we would sit down with them. And since they want to sit down and they've agreed to sit down and talk, then that's exactly what we would do. Because we want to give them a chance to demonstrate that they can change what happened here a week ago, that everybody feels welcome.
Did he indicate if he was making any personnel changes?
That's something we're going to talk about when we sit down with them. Because we want clearly identified the person who turned him away at the door. We want that person to be terminated. And for that person to never be allowed to work at the Roosevelt Club again. If it's true that the owners did not give him the rule, which was don't allow African Americans to come into the club. If that's not true, well, then the gentleman who was working the door that night should be punished and held accountable. But we want to make sure that that's true, because right now they're saying that that did not happen, that they had no such policy, but they do realize that they do have a problem.